we are here. We had yesterday to recover from Sunday. Did you watch us? Were you one of the ones that stayed with us all the time? Now, I'm hoping that the mics are working. There's nothing coming through. Oh, no, there is. Hopefully, if you could let me know whether there's sound before I start yabbering on. Hiya Jean, how are you? Can you hear me? That's what we want to know. So it's, can you hear me? Yeah, so just let me know. Sound isn't great, it's hissing. Oh, that's something that I can't deal with, I'm afraid. It's going to be a quick make, so hopefully it'll sort itself out, because I'm a complete novice. I have no overhead projector either. Camera. It's not working. I've got the one that works on the machine, and I've got this front one, so we're going to deal with that, okay? Sorry that it's yeah, you just have to work out my dulcet tones in amongst this. How are you all? Still going strong here. We're just parcelled up all the ones that people decided they'd like from Sunday. Didn't it go fast? Considering it was 12 hours. Oops. It was 12 hours long. It just went so fast. It was unbelievable. Right. Now, what was I supposed to tell you? There's three left on the raffle. So if you haven't got your raffle, then get yourself over to the website and order those last three. Yeah, I'm a little bit hissy today. I'm in a good mood. I've not got a hissy fit or anything. So yeah, there you go. Right, we are going to set up a challenge post. We have this Liberty fabric, a little roll that's arrived. This must be the new Liberty that's coming out. We tend to get like a little sample. So the challenge post that Sarah's going to put on the website is anything handy that you've used, something that's been really handy, and we want the story as well. Sarah will probably just be quite happy with the pictures. I need the story. I want to know who you made it for and what you use it for, okay? I don't want to have to guess what it is. Quite honestly, I'm looking for ideas for 1 o'clocks. So anything that you've made that has been really useful. And it doesn't have to just be ones that we've made. It could be ones, you know, that we've done on a 1 p.m. It could be anything that you've made, okay? So, and that's Liberty. There are, oh, I don't know how many fabrics. There's loads. They look like they are fat 8s. Okay, I think they're fat 8s. They could be fat 16ths, I don't know. I'm trying to look and see. Oh no, there is I think there's a fold in there. Maybe not. Sarah, do you know how much of you, what they are? I think they're fat 8s. They could be fat 16ths. There's a lot of fabric there, all different ones. Enough to make a small quilt or bigger quilt with a bit extra fabric. Right, okay. Have we recovered from Sunday? Yes, I think we have. We're up to date now. So we're just going to be prepping now for Hochanda. So all orders are up to date. Right, this is what we're making today. Okay, now these they go over a book. So I mean, this book might not be. You make the elastic to fit whatever. So you would put this. I wonder if it'll fit over your book. she says, like that, okay? And then you can put your pens in there. Okay, you can put your pen in like that. Okay, so your pen will go in. You can make them as wide as you like, or as skinny as you like. You can see this one is skinnier. This one would just take a few pens. I made one for Dave's diary, which is an A4 diary. And I think it was this wide, slightly longer. Not that it needs to be, because pens and pencils, I found the longest pencil that I could. I'm pinching Sarah's pen here. I found the longest pencil that I could, and I measured it, and it will fit in there. Okay, right, so I will tell you what I used. I am going to use an 8x8 piece of outside fabric and an 8x8 piece of lining fabric. You don't need to line it necessarily. This is just going to go on the front of your book. I mean, if you're selling them, then lining is a nice thing and it gives it a little bit more stability, but you don't have to, okay? We're going to use, I've got a 7-inch zip, and I'm going to show you how to put an end on it so that it looks nice in the edges, okay, like that. And we're going to put a bit of elastic on it. Okay, now the fabric I'm using is a Janet Claire origami, which was in my stash, and it's got a nice crane on there. It's sad when you have to go back to work, isn't it, Ali? Work gets in the way of life, as far as I'm concerned. Right, okay, so these pieces are scrap pieces, but they're 1.5 inch wide. As long as they're as wide as your zip, then it'll be fine. They don't need to be overly wide, okay? Because you are going to be sewing your zip in. Now, the bit with the pull is your right side. Now I'm going to put this right side, if we go to 3, which then takes you back to this one. Challenge post is up, okay? So I've got a piece of fabric and I'm going to put my zip on there. Right sides. Now it doesn't need to be this long, I've just cut the piece I have in half. And I am going to, I've put it right sides together, okay? So I'm just going to sew just this side of the metal piece. You don't want to be on the metal piece because you don't want to you don't want to be putting your needle through there, okay? So if I bring that over like that, and I'm just going to sew through, okay? Like that. All I've done is attach that piece of fabric to that. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to fold that back like that. And just put a crease in it. Now you could, if you wanted to, put a top stitch on there. I don't tend to, it's going to all be held down. And we're going to do the same on the other side. Okay, so I want my fabric right side up. I'm going to put my zip right side down on top. Okay, now I'm holding this one together because I've moved the zipper pull out of the way. And we're going to just put in a line of stitching down there. And I'm going to fold that back out of the way. Okay, now I'm going to trim off the ends so that I'm not fighting with all this fabric. So, can you see what I'm doing? I don't know why you don't just have your wages put straight into the shop. We do offer that service, ladies, that if you want to put your pension or your wages straight to the shop, we're quite happy to do that. Right, so I now have my zip is all sorted out. So that's brilliant, as long as you can see. So we now need to put our zip in. Now I want my fabric is directional, okay, and I want my zip to pull down from the top rather than from the bottom. So I'm going to make sure that my zipper pull is at the top of my fabric, okay. Now I'm going to turn my zip, so it's right sides together with my fabric, and I'm going to centre it up. Now, if you're not used to doing zips, I would suggest getting the hand stitching and just do a quick hand stitch through there. It works a lot easier than if you're trying to pin it and everything. That would be my suggestion. Oh, I'm creating a problem here. Now you can change to a zipper foot. I don't. I'm quite happy to see more of my zip. So it is a personal preference. Okay, so I'm just going to use my normal foot. Okay, I'm going to use a normal foot, and I'm going to move my needle to the left, like that, so that my needle now runs down this channel here. Okay, so that will be enough to put my zip in. I'm going to take my lining fabric and I'm going to lay that on top of my zip. Now you want to make sure that it's all lined up with your other piece of fabric that's underneath. Okay, so you're going to line that up with the edge of your zip, and then the edge of the zip line up with your bottom fabric, like that. Now I'm going to be very naughty here, and I'm just going to sew it. Okay, so I'm just going to take it over here so that I can see what I'm doing. I seem to have one piece of fabric that's bigger than the other. Okay, so I'm going to put this underneath my needle. I'm going to put my foot down. Now my pull is there. I want to move the pull out of the way. It's getting all a bit. I'm going to pull the pull down halfway. There we are. Halfway? That was all the way, sir. Okay. Line it all up again. So your zip is right sides together with your fabric, and then your lining is right sides together with your outer fabric. Okay, how about right? This is why sewing it all in is a lot better. So do what I say, not what I do. Right, I've lined that up now with my zip. Okay, there's my teeth running down there. So I'm going to put in a lock stitch, check my zip and my fabric, like that, and I'm just going to sew. And I'm keeping this edge close to my teeth. My zipper teeth, not my own teeth, because that would be a bit dangerous. Now, you don't want to go past the zipper pull because it will give you a little belly in that. So I'm going to pull my zipper first, and zipper pull right up to the top there, out my way, line it all back up. go. Glue stick is a very good idea, or can't you get a tape, you know, like a sticky tape. Now you could put a top stitch in here, but it's a very small amount to be able to get under to put the top stitch on the other side, so I didn't worry about it. Okay, it's quite a small project that it's not really going to be moving that much inside. So pull your fabric away from your zip, and you can see I've got a fairly straight line going down there. Now for the other side of the zip, we're going to take the other side of the fabric, pull it up and put it right sides together with the zip, checking that it's running pretty much in line with the one underneath, and then you're going to turn it over and you're going to take your lining fabric and take it to meet the zip like this. Okay, so you've got, when you've got your zip sandwich for the second time, you've got two different pouches here. Okay, so we're going to double-sided quilter's tape. That's the thing I was after. I think that is an ideal one for zips, but you know us, we tend to wing these type of things. We get there in the end. If I was putting in a big zip, or or you need, I needed some, it to be very much exact, I would probably sew it in. Now you can see that it's all moved. Move this over, it all lines up. There we go. I'm going to come down the side of the zip. Stop it there. There's my zip pull. So I'm going to find the zip pull, which is right on the bottom, and take it to the other side of the foot. Lost me zip. So if you haven't got an automatic foot lift the foot but leave the needle down, but don't be pulling. I've lost my zipper pull. There it is. There we go. Right, check it's all still in position. Okay, so that's putting in the zip without a zipper foot. Now the zipper foot is exactly the same, you're going to run the side of the zipper foot along the side of the zip. Okay, so where are we? We now have our pouch sewn together like that. We are going to, where you've got your outer fabric, you're going to shove everything through the tube like that. Okay. Shove everything through the tube so that it all comes into your tube. Like that. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tidy up these ends there. So I've got my zip is running down the middle of my piece. and I'm going to just chop off the excess at both ends, okay, and tidy it up. Like that. Okay, throw on the floor. Okay, so I've got a nice tidy pouch. Now we're now going to turn that back inside out, but we're going to turn it, you're going to open up your zip halfway, because otherwise you're going to sew it and you're not going to be able to get back in. There isn't an overhead set. That's the bit that's not working. Alright, your overhead number 3 is showing the machine, so we're doing it without the overhead. So we've gone now into, I am going on the right one, aren't I? We are now going into, we've got our tube is inside out, so we haven't got the 2 flaps anymore, we're in one. Now my elastic, you're going to measure it on your book, okay? So where you've got your book and this would meet, you're going to want to come round here and you're just going to work out roughly how long it's going to be without pulling, okay? So you want there to be at least a bit of stretch when you put it on, so it's going to be exact, alright? Exact-ish. And chop it off. Now we're going to put our elastic inside our tube. Okay, so we're going to go through so that it's sticking out like that, but we're going to line that up with the zip. Okay, you want a tiny little bit sticking out so that you know where it is. Okay, and you're going to close that end up so that close that end up like that with the elastic running the length of your zip. Okay, at the moment the other piece of elastic is sticking out. Okay, so I'm now going to just sew along that top. Okay, so I need to remember to move my needle back to a middle position, and we're going to change the foot back to the, no we're not, I'm going to change that there. I'm going to leave the other one on because I don't want the guard catching on everything. And with Sarah, her thing is 29, so it's that one, 29. There we go, it's moved the needle. Okay, so we've now moved the needle over. So you can see that I've got my zip running in the middle. You can see that in between my outer fabric, I've got my piece of elastic is running there. Okay. Now I don't want to be sewing over this bit here. So I can see from the needle is going to miss that, hopefully. So we're going to put a back stitch in there. Now this will leave a raw edge top and bottom, so you can pink it or you can bind it. can, the way I did it before, I was able to make I can show you what you could do, but you need to make it a slightly longer bag, I think. Right, so I've sewn across here. Now you could go back over when you're doing it. Go over that once or twice. Okay, so you want to, where the elastic is, if you go over it a couple of times, it's going to make it a lot stronger. There you go. Okay, so we now have that sewn up here. Now we can trim all these off. Like a haircut, isn't it? Now you could trim that as well now. Now we know where it is and what it's done. And we're going to go to the other end. Now, I found it easier to pull this out through my hole that is left where I've left the zip open, and then just centre it all up again. So it's there. You can see that it's centred with my zip, like that. And we're just going to sew the end exactly like we did the other one. So there we are. Okay, just going to put it down there. Okay, so again, I've got 1/4 inch on my main foot by moving my needle to the right. I'm going to put a few stitches in there. You can put along here, and then I'm going to go back over it. Like that, and then continue to the end. There we go. We're pretty much done. Now, I would, I've just given it a haircut. Turn that bit off there. I would cut off my corners. It just gives you a sharper corner. Don't cut your stitches. I have done that before, like that, and like that. Okay. Now remember, that technique will work with any size square and zip. If you have a longer zip, you don't have to worry too much about the ends then, but I would still put the tabs on the end, on the edges. It gives that a neater finish and makes it fit in. So I'm going to shove the corners out gently because I'm using a pair of scissors. I do like this fabric. I've got this fabric, but I think I've got the rabbit one. Wasn't there a crane and a rabbit? I wanted the crane, but I bought 3 meters or so to make a skirt. The idea is, I thought if I made a wraparound skirt with origami fabric, how cute is that? So if you really don't like those raw edges, which are tucked right up there, okay, you can move your elastic out of the way. You could just put in a top stitch along there, which I did with this one, so it hides then your raw edges inside. You could top stitch all the way around because it doesn't need to, it just looks like you've sewn it. This one I did in 3 pieces, so there's a seam running down there as well. and then I didn't like that, so I had to have another go. However, by doing it in 3 pieces, I was able to do a top stitch on that one, you know, on the edges of the zips. I have loads of these now. So there is my book tidy. So this will fit on there now. I think the elastic is too big, too long. I'm going to have to get a, there you go. So you can now put your stuff away. Handy if you never use it. So yeah, I thought those were quite cool. So you could do that with your, if you were setting up a project to go away with your pattern and everything, you could do this, and that would then go around your pattern work, and you could put your scissors in there, your threads and everything. So if you've got a pattern book, so there you go. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, you could zigzag over the end, you could do whatever you liked. You could pink and shear it, you could zigzag over the end, you could, but if you've got one of the things on your machine for serging, then you could do that as well. Yeah, I'm not that bothered, really, but yeah, serging or zigzagging would be a good idea. There you go. You could put all sorts in that. Wear it as a headband, look. Right, I'm going. Don't forget to put up your, if you're late to the party, don't forget to put up your challenge post. We want to know, what have you made that has been really handy? Okay, and there's a Liberty pack, and we're not quite sure what size they are. They could be, see, you can't, it's not even as if you can follow it, but there's quite a lot there. There's a lot of stuff there, so it's either an 1/8 or a 1/16 of these beautiful fabrics. There's a whole load of different floral ones in there. And there were 3 on the lottery, on the raffle to go, but they might not be. Okay, they might not be there anymore, and if they're not, then we will pull it later. I'm wittering on now. I'm going. Sarah's back for Block of the Week tomorrow, and then Thursday we are travelling to Newark, so there probably won't be a post. It depends on how much I talk to Sarah, really. She might need somebody to talk to, so there might be a post, but there'll definitely be one on Friday and Saturday with the stalls and what's going on there. Okay, so I will see you then, and have a wonderful day. Okay, so how many are you going to make, Anne? You going to make lots? And Ali, if you've got to work, you might as well make your things ready for work, and they'll make brilliant, really quick gifts, and using your scraps. If you do stalls, that type of thing is a really quick make. You just need all your scraps. You could make it, if you did it in the 3, you could make it tiny scraps, really, couldn't you? Okay, see you soon. Bye.